What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So, there's some interesting boxing news. I'm getting word that Adrian, the Problem Broner, might face off against Paulie Malignaggi for IBF title. And what do I think about this fight? It's an intriguing fight. It's kind of like when I heard they were talking about matching Uriorkis Gamboa with Timothy Bradley. It just comes out of left field and hits you. Both fighters are names that are recognized in the sport, and I think it's an interesting fight. Um, I don't know. It wasn't a fight that I would have projected or even thought of, based on circumstances. Adrian Broner would be moving up 2 weight classes. Paulie Malignaggi has a video on ES News, so shout out to Sekback for that coverage. And Paulie Malignaggi is talking about it. He's saying basically they're trying to get him in Abu Dhabi or Adrian Broner. I guess Richard Schaefer, Golden Boy, has presented that fight, and he said he's down for whatever pays him more. So he's willing to fight Broner. As you know, Malignaggi's been struggling trying to get an opponent. At one point, it was supposed to be Shane Mosley was coming out of retirement. I don't know if Mosley's going to fight or if he only wanted to fight Paulie Malignaggi to come out of retirement, but that fight went out the window. They couldn't get the negotiations down, couldn't see eye to eye. Then another possible foe they talked about was Paulie Malignaggi and Marcos Maidana. I don't know what happened with that. Um, I do know that Marcos Maidana is most likely facing Josecito Lopez, so it might have fell through for that reason. Um, and they're trying to make an interesting fight. Um, Paulie Malignaggi is supposed to fight Chavez, who is his mandatory, but he's not really a marquee name or a name in the sport that people would recognize. So I think Adrian Broner would definitely be a more lucrative fight for all parties involved. Broner's rapidly building up his name. I was just on his Twitter the other day, and he has over 81,000 followers, I think. So all his antics, hairbrushing, rapping, he must be doing something right because it's working. And I also follow Brandon Rios on Twitter, and I think Brandon Rios has like 18,000 followers. So I thought Brandon Rios would have like close to or more followers than Adrian Broner. So I mean I know Twitter followers isn't everything, but it is something to consider, especially when when these fans are just coming or these fighters are just coming up. Anyway, Paulie Malignaggi, Adrian Broner. I like the fight. Um, you got Paulie Malignaggi, who's technically sound. He's a very light puncher. He's not known for punching power, but he's smart in the ring. He has ring IQ, and he's seasoned. You can definitely say he's been in there with some tough competition. Um, Juan Diaz, he's been in there with Amir Khan, who chewed him up. He's been in there with Miguel Cotto. He's been in there with some quite a few people. In his last fight, I thought he should have lost by I think a round or two. I don't remember my exact scorecard, but the fight on the Eric Morales, Danny Garcia 2 undercard, the whole Barclay event with Kid Chocolate, Paulie Malignaggi, and Pablo Cesar Cano had a fight, and Cano got off to a slow start, but mid to late rounds he came on and he dropped Paulie Malignaggi, and I really feel like it was a hometown decision because Paulie Malignaggi, he's from New York, he's from Brooklyn. The fight took place in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. So, crowd reaction anytime a fighter fights at home, like if Wama Lopez is fighting Orlando Salido, um, and he does something good, is in Puerto Rico, is going to get more crowd participation. Sometimes judges are influenced by that. So I don't know what it was, but I really feel like that last fight, Paulie Malignaggi should have lost that belt. Actually, he wouldn't have lost the belt anyway because Pablo Cesar Cano, even though he jumped up in weight, he didn't make the arranged weight, so he wasn't eligible to win the belt if he were to win because he couldn't meet the weight requirements by the deadline. So that sucks for him. He should have trained harder or ate less. Um, as far as the matchup, I really see, and this is not taking. I like Paulie Malignaggi as a commentator. I like him as a boxer, just because he is smart. So this is not taking anything away from Paulie Malignaggi as a person, because I do enjoy him in the sport. But I think Broner is going to chew him up because I don't think Paulie Malignaggi, while he does have a lot of ring intelligence, I don't think he has anywhere near the level of power that would be needed to stop someone like Adrian Broner. So, I mean, I just don't see. I just see it kind of being relatively easy mid to late rounds for Broner once he realizes this guy can't hurt me. Some people might be like, "Oh, Broner's coming up 2 weight classes." Yeah, that's true, but I mean, it's it's a fight that makes probably more sense for Broner because if you think about it, Broner, everything he does, everything he showcases, and you're going into kind of a weak opponent, a weak belt holder, like someone who's not feared with the belt. You know what I'm saying? And this, it just that's because Paulie Malignaggi's not a light punch, or because he's a light puncher. And I'm not saying he's not game or he doesn't have any level of skill, because he's definitely beat some marquee game or names. But at the same time, Malignaggi is, if you watch the Sanchenko fight, I believe he got the belt and it got stopped because of cut. His last fight, he, in my opinion, should have lost that to Kano, who came up in weight and still was able to hurt him. So I really see Adrian Broner, even with coming up in weight, he seems like a naturally big dude. Um, on the ES News interview, Paulie Malignaggi was like saying people were comparing Broner to their Mir Khan fight, and honestly, I see it probably being worse because Mir Khan and Broner both have skill, in speed, but I think Broner's accuracy is far better. And again, if he's getting dropped like by Pablo Cesar Cano, I mean Broner with more weight, I don't see it being any different. I just don't see Paulie Malignaggi having enough in his arsenal to keep the guy off of him, because I think Broner is far more talented than Pablo Cesar Cano. So that's my opinion. We'll see. I mean, it might be, it could be like, I don't know, like Bernard Hopkins versus Tavares Cloud. I know it's not all about power, but if you look at what Broner brings to the table, there's more than just power in his arsenal. He has power, he has speed, his defense looks pretty solid, and his footwork in certain fights doesn't look as good, but I've seen him where his footwork did look better. So, I just don't see. I don't see what Paulie Malignaggi would be able to do to ward and discourage Adrian Broner. I just really can't see it. Leave a comment. Let me know if you see something different with that particular fight. I know some of the Broner haters are going to say something along the lines of Broner's ducking the 140-pound division by by passing it in essence to fight Paulie Malignaggi. And for those people, you're pretty foolish because if you know anything about boxing, you'll know a couple key facts. Broner needs a fight. Malignaggi needs a fight. They're talking about doing this fight soon, like May, April, May, June, something like that. And look at who's in the 140-pound division. You got a postponed Zab Judah versus Danny Garcia because of Danny Garcia's rib injury. So that's taking place in April. So Danny Garcia wouldn't be able to fight Broner by then anyway. Or if Zab Judah wins, he wouldn't be able to fight him that quick coming off of a fight against Danny Garcia. So that fight can't be happen. Can't be made. Um, it looks like Maidana and Josecito are most likely squaring off. So that fight can't be made at 147. Plus, neither of them have a belt to my knowledge. So what would be the point for Broner to come up 2 weight classes to fight them? Back to the 140-pound division, they're really trying to make Lucas Matisse versus Lamont Peterson. Plus, Adrian Broner is great friends with Lamont Peterson, so I doubt we'll ever see that fight. And he's friends with Danny Garcia, so who knows if we'll see that. Even if Danny Garcia didn't have the Judah fight. Again, Lamont Peterson and Matisse are in negotiations, I guess you can say. Brandon Rios and Mike Alvarado are fighting this month, so that wouldn't be enough time for a Broner versus Rios fight. In addition to that, Broner is with Golden Boy, and Brandon Rios is with Top Rank, two rival promotional companies that don't work together. So as much as I want to see Brandon Rios versus Adrian Broner, as much as you guys want to see Brandon Rios versus Adrian Broner, based off of egos and politics in boxing, who knows if we'll ever get to see some of the fights we want to see. Nonito Donaire versus Abner Mars, fucking Canelo versus Chavez Jr. I mean, a lot of these fights probably won't happen just based on Top Rank and Golden Boy beefing. So, who else is at 140? A Jose who lost his belt to Lucas Matisse, I believe. So, what would be the point for Adrian Broner to fight him? I mean, who? It doesn't make none of the fights can happen based on scheduling conflicts, or they don't make sense. Paulie Malignaggi, again, he's a titleist, he's a belt holder, so that fight makes sense. He feels he has a strong chance to beat him. Mayweather's fighting Robert Guerrero, plus Broner and Team Broner, they've already commented and said Mayweather's the big brother, and they'll never fight him no matter what. So that's not a fight that could be made. Robert Guerrero, someone who's had run-ins with Adrian Broner on YouTube and through Twitter, he's fighting Mayweather in May, so it's not like that fight can happen. So realistically, before you guys leave stupid comments on my page like, oh, Broner's ducking 140-pound division, tell me how he could fight any of these guys by May, April, or June. It doesn't make sense. He can't fight any of these people that you want to see him fight by that time. And I think I covered everyone. Brandon Rios, Mike Alvarado, Timothy Bradley even has a fight. So it's not like he can fight Timothy Bradley. Timothy Bradley has a March fight. Plus, Timothy Bradley, again, is with Top Rank. Broner's with Golden Boy. So who knows if we'll ever get to see any kind of fight like that. So let me know who you want to see Adrian Broner fight. The only other option, I was going to say Amir Khan, but he can't really fight Amir Khan because Amir Khan's fighting Diaz, the Diaz brother. So realistically, the 140-pound division is definitely stacked, but most of those fights can't be made by the time that Broner is scheduled to fight. And this is just my tidbit, my little 2 cents, and I'm going to wrap up. Adrian Broner, I think, wants to follow his quote-unquote big brother, a.k.a. Floyd Mayweather Jr., Money May, over to Showtime. So I think he's trying to get out of his HBO contract, just fulfill those obligations, and finish fighting. Because Showtime looks like that's where it's at. They got the biggest stars over there. They have Canelo pretty much, Mayweather, Austin Trout's fighting over there. I think Josecito and Maidana would be over there too. Danny Garcia and Zab is fighting on Showtime, I believe. So realistically, Showtime looks like they made a great move with the Mayweather acquisition, and I guarantee you Adrian Broner is definitely tempted to follow suit and join them. So there's nothing concrete. That's just my thoughts about it. So I think he's just trying to fight whatever amount of fights to fulfill his contract and probably go over to Showtime because that's where the cool kids are. Anyway, let me know who you want to see Adrian Broner fight. Let me know if I missed anyone in the 140-pound division that's logical for him to fight and that can be made by April, May, or June when they intend to have him fight. They want to keep their fighter active. And that's basically it. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Until next video, it's Ego signing off.